Tentacles are already a common trait. It's even its own genre in, let's say, art. So, let me ask you this. Which one of these images have tentacles? Well, if you answer every single one of them, in a sense, you are correct. But technically, you are wrong. The answer is, technically none. But why though? Well, let me broaden up the question. What exactly is tentacle? First of all, let's talk about the tentacles in cephalopod, because that's what people think about while talking about tentacles. So, the soft-bodied cephalopods are generally divided into two groups, usually ranked in the superorder, the Decapodiformes and Octopodiformes. Decapod means 10 legs, while octopod means 8 legs. Quite simple, really. Alright, so, let me show you a picture of octopus. Their name itself means 8 legs, so, of course they are in the Octopodiformes group. So, look at this image. They have 8 legs that are quite identical, right? Each leg has a lot of suckers in one side, from the base to the tip. You can also look it up yourself if these images are not enough, of course. Now, look at this image of a squid. They are classified in the Decapodiformes group. So, they have 10 legs. Well, kinda. Look at this image. So you see, like the octopus, they also have 8 similar looking legs, right? But what about these two? They look different, right? Whether or not you realize what's different, I'm sure at least you notice those two are different. Those two are the tentacles, while the other 8 are called arms. Octopus don't have these, which is why they technically don't have any tentacles, just 8 arms, that's it. Tentacles are designed for capturing prey, while the arms are designed for handling and moving, which is why tentacles are normally longer than the arms, sometimes significantly longer. Tentacles are also more flexible and faster than the arms. While the arms have suckers from the base to the tip, the tentacles usually only have suckers around the tip. This enlarged area with suckers on the tip is called the club. The suckers on the club are used to latch into prey. In some groups, they can also have specialized structures to catch prey on their club. For example, the giant squid have these serrated suckers on the club, while the colossal squid have curved hooks on their club. Some might seem to not have a club. For example, the whiplash squid. Whiplash squid's tentacles are usually hidden inside the 4th pair of arms. This pair of arms are longer than the other 3 pairs, which might look like a pair of tentacles, but actually it's not. The real tentacles of the whiplash squid are really long and thin compared to its arms, hence the name. These tentacles have a lot of small serrated and stalked suckers, which is why those tentacles are still really effective for capturing prey. But even with such glaring differences, some squid have nearly identical tentacles and arms. Well, a specific group, I should say, that is, the Bigfin squid. But still, if you look close enough, especially if you have watched the video on Magna Pinna observation and sightings, you could see that 2 of the appendages, that is, the tentacles, is actually longer than the arms. I'll link the video on the description if you would like to watch it. See if you could identify which pair are the tentacles. So, we talk about tentacles in cephalopod, but what about in other animals? Does any other animals have them? Well, yes, but tentacle as a term is used more loosely. In general, any flexible and mobile elongated fleshy organs can be called tentacle. For example, in true jellyfish, when you look at this image, which one do you think are the tentacles? If you thought of these organs, then congratulations, you understood the concept of tentacles in cephalopod. But it's not like that in jellyfish. These are the oral arms. Meanwhile, these small hair-looking organs are the tentacles. Now, let's look at a relatively similar animal. That is, the box jellyfish. In box jellyfish, there are no arms. Every tendril you see here are called tentacles. They grow from the four corners of box jellyfish. Now, let's take a look at comb jellies. Try to guess, are these tentacles or arms? Well, the answer is, this is indeed a tentacle. Not only that, if you look closer to the tentacles, you'll notice these bristles. These are tentilia, basically small branches of tentacles. In the stalk jellyfish, Staurozoa, the early stage which is the stauropolyp, typically have 8 tentacles. These tentacles can then disappear, stay, or change into specialized structures during metamorphosis into adulthood. In the manowar, which is actually colonies of individual hydrozoan, tentacles are also formed. Many even. Few tentacles are a lot longer than the rest. These long tentacles are called fishing tentacles, which is used to, well, fish I guess, to sting and capture fish. In marine sedentary animals, that is, the animal that stays in place, usually anchored or burrowed in substrate, the mouth is usually circled with tentacles. In corals, the tentacles are technically quite similar to the jellyfish tentacles, since they are in the same phylum. In Lophophorata, like bryozoa and phoronid worms, they have a structure called lophophore to feet, which consists of many tendrils. These individual tendrils are also called tentacles. In other animals, their feelers are also usually called tentacles. For example, look at snails. You'll notice that they have a pair of eye stalks. These are also called tentacles. Not only that, these small pair of feelers are also called tentacle. Some also have several big tentacles, like the abalone. See this tendrils thingy? These are also called tentacles. The feelers on the snout of caecilians are also called tentacles. Even the feelers in Erpeton tentaculatum is called tentacles. What about the tendrils on the star-nosed mole? Sometimes also called tentacles. And now, what about fish? Well, usually, fish feelers are called barbels, or just simply whiskers. But these fishes though, the catfish in the genus Ancestris, these tendrils are called tentacles. These ones are prominent in males, but smaller or even absent in females. So maybe these do not function as feelers, hence called tentacles. And so, there you go. Tentacles. The same terms being used in different contexts. Do you think that is confusing? Well, in my opinion, as long as the person you are talking to understood what organs you specifically mean, that is fine. Calling octopus arms tentacles is, most of the time, also fine. But still, try to use the specific terms if you could. And that's all for now. Wait. Yes? I have a question. What about Squidward? What about him? What is Squidward? Is he a squid or an octopus? I mean, isn't he an octopus? Well, yeah, but his last name is Tentacles though. And also, check out his limbs. Those looks like tentacles, don't they? It's not arms at all. I mean, look at the sucker's position. It's only on the tip. That's a club, right? It's literally tentacles, just like what you explained earlier. Wait. Huh. You're absolutely right. That's quite interesting. I know, right? So, what is he? I don't know, man. Maybe an aberration or something. Right. So, know what? Well, let's just roll the credit, shall we? 3, 2, 1, bye!